Hi, my name is Jimmy Stapp, and today we're going to be discussing how to use PDFs in your educational practice a little more effectively. Basically, we're going to talk about some solutions for converting PDFs into classroom assessments. As we all know, PDFs have become kind of a standard or standby file format that we, whether by choice or not, end up using a lot in education. And while it's a great format, what they call the portable document format, it's not always the easiest to edit. And a lot of times the PDF files that you will receive, either from the curriculum that we download or share online to what we're given by our district leaders, these files may not be editable. And they may not be editable even if you have Adobe as the Adobe editing suite. A lot of times PDFs are locked up, the content is all in one image, and so we usually try to lean on things like document converters and such to make our lives a little bit easier so we can actually repurpose that material. Typically, when we're talking about using a PDF, we have for years defaulted to using PDF converters like pdf.io or tinywow.com. We actually have a PDF converter in our, let's go to our, we actually have a PDF converter in Google Classroom, in Google Drive that we are able to use called Cloud Convert. Let me just go up here and look at some PDFs for you. And let's go down to a PDF. Let's just open in general, just some random PDF I have here. So let's see here. Let's just open up this file here. And as you're going to see, we have the options to open it in Google Docs or to convert it using any one of these file converters. Now, this can be helpful. Sometimes when we do open something in Google Docs, it'll open the PDF, but it may not be editable. We may have to then convert it more to actually break things out. As you can see, we've lost a lot of the formatting. It doesn't look the same anymore. Sure, we can edit this and we can reset it, but it doesn't really have the pizzazz and quality look that it had before. We're all very familiar with this. This is pretty much what happens when you use any of these converters, be it Tinywow or pdf.io. They're going to use what's called OCR, or optical character recognition, for the computer to recognize and differentiate the letters and numbers from the pictures on the page. Some of the converters will allow you to retain the pictures, some won't, but almost none of them allow you to retain any of the formatting and the fonts that come in the original PDF. Even if you have subscription to the Adobe suite and you want to use Adobe to edit these PDFs, 90% of the time we found that you're not going to be able to do that because these are actually just images, page scans, or documents that have been saved as a PDF. But when through that saving process, they're just turned into a JPEG, or they are a JPEG or a photo file that is saved as a PDF. So when you put it in Adobe, you're no more closer to editing it than you would be if you'd used a file converter. You're still going to have to strip the text out using an OCR tool, and you're going to have to cut and paste the pictures into your new document. So they can really be frustrating to use. Fortunately for us, we do have a tool that's much, much easier to use at our fingertips and a part of our Atlanta Public Schools teaching toolkit. And that's Formative, formerly known as Go Formative. I'm going to close these other tabs here so we can just kind of focus on Formative. As you can see here, this is my Formative dashboard. And in this, I'm going to make a new Formative. I'm going to show you how to import a PDF, modify that PDF, or what they call enhance this PDF, so I actually can use that PDF test as an assessment that I not only share with my students, but that is graded and is in Formative already for me. So you may already know about Formative, and it is a great tool that we have available to us. We have several different videos on how to use Formative. I won't go too much into the nuts and bolts of Formative today. That's something that you can look into the Formative Help Center about, but also contact your ETS to discuss some formative training. Super simple to use. It's very similar to many of the other online assessment generators, but I certainly think it's one of the most powerful that we have at our fingertips. So I'm going to add a Formative. I'm going to start a new Formative. I'll click here. And what I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to go straight to enhancing a PDF or a doc. So I'm going to go to enhance a PDF or a doc, and I'm going to upload my document here. I believe I have it on the desktop. I do. We're going to open up this math assessment here. There we go. it's going to recognize that there are several pages in this assessment. It's going to break those pages out, and it's going to add all 3 documents. Now, I'm going to repeat this once or twice, but just so you know from the start, you'll be able to preview this document as you build it. So you can look at the changes you make to see how it's going to look for the student on the other end of the exam. Okay, so here we've got our PDF, and we can title this just as unit test to keep this simple. Okay, and we go down here and we've got our instructions. We don't need to worry about the name and the date because that's going to be included in the student's classroom identification, right? So we don't need to worry about those, but what we do need to go down here to is draw each of the following shapes and explain how you know that it is a shape, all right? We need to convert this table into a series of questions over here. It's super simple. What we'll do is we'll go into our first box, right? Our first answer location here where it says triangle. We're asking the student to draw a triangle. I click there. What we're going to put in this box is going to be a show your work, because this allows students to draw. If we were doing a short answer, we'd use short answer, which we'll do some of those in a second. Multiple choice, true, false, etc. We have all those options here. Multiple choice, right? True, false. Video response, if you want the kids to record a video response in those blanks rather than write something down. They can insert files, fill in the blanks. You can also just put a text box in there. But we want them to draw a triangle, so we're going to use show your work. Okay. For this one, I'm just going to retype the question. Okay. So it's draw each of the following shapes. We're going to say, draw this shape. Draw this shape. Now we're going to keep it that way because I'm going to show you a shortcut here. Okay. And we're going to, we don't need to edit the background. We're going to leave it as it is. Okay. And that's going to be our first one. They're simply going to draw the shape and we're going to come back and check it later on. Okay. Now, our second question here is going to be, I know it is a blank because blank. So that's a fill in the blank question. I'm going to click here and we're going to put in fill in the blank for this one. Okay. Now, for this question, I'm going to go ahead and retype this question to keep the students on task and to make it clear. And you'll see how this looks when we actually preview it in just a second. So, I know it is a, okay, we're going to add a text blank here for the blank one because, and add another blank, add another text blank, okay? Now, we can put multiple answers here. I know it is a triangle. If there are multiple, there are synonymous words or vocabulary words for whatever it is they're filling in here, you can put each of those in there. But we know it's going to be only one answer for this. Okay, but for blank 2, we've got a couple of ways to know it's a triangle, right? Because it has 3 sides, or it has 3 angles. Okay, and if you want to allow partial credit, okay, we can allow partial credit for getting 3 or getting angles. Okay, put that there. And we've got both of these questions there. And let's preview this and see how it's going to look. Go over here to preview. I'm going to put it on the laptop view. This is what it looks like for the student. Now, I'm actually going to pop this out into a new video, a new tab, so we can actually see what it'll look like for the student. Now, immediately I get asked when I show this, the first question I'll get asked usually is, but that's so small. How are they going to see it? Well, that's going to zoom in here, and then we'll allow them to zoom into it. And then when they click on what they need to do, it'll go back to show you. It'll go back to that question there. Okay. I'm going to click on the show your work, and the student can then use the scribble, okay, to draw their triangle. All right, and they're going to check, and there's their answer. So this is when you are grading, you'll see these answers. Okay, so we go to number 2. I click on number 2, and I know it is a triangle because it has 3 sides. Okay, and there we go. And that's how you design or develop your questions in this format. Okay. Now I'm going to close that. I'm going to go and close this preview. Here we are back at our test. Now we can do the same thing for each of these. And since we've already gotten this first test, this first question on the test as a generic kind of question, not specific to triangles, I can simply say, copy this. All right, and what it's going to do when I copy it is going to put it there below it. We don't want to do that. We want it to be actually number 3, right? So we're going to move this. How do we move it? Simply scroll down and we say where we want it moved. Okay, so we will actually want it moved to right here. And that changes the numbers for us automatically. We know this is a rectangle. We can do the same for number 2. I'm going to go and I'm going to copy this again. Okay, I'm going to put my number where it's actually going to be located, where I want the student to answer the question. Okay, I'm going to go down to that question, number 3, right? It actually needs to be number 5. So I'm going to click on move, and now I'm going to go down below number 4, and I'm going to say move item here. Now, keep in mind, there are a couple of items we'll need to change here. Okay, we were asking about a triangle before, so we need to change our answers here to rectangle. Okay, it has 4 sides. It has 4 angles. Okay, and you can be as specific here as your class needs to be. All right, so as you can see, we've gotten this done. You can just repeat this for the rest of this sheet, and we can go to the next one. All right, now here we've actually got a question. How are we going to do that? Pretty simple. You go over here to number 2 and you click on that. It's going to number it as our next question. Now when we do this, it's going to pick up on where we left off. So it'll say number 5 or 6 when it comes up now. So what I'm going to do is Peter and Sydney bought a chocolate cake to share equally. Draw lines to show how they can share the cake equally. We want them to draw this. So we're going to click here and we're going to do a show your work again. All right. Now we want to cue them into it being a circle. So what we want to do is we're going to edit the background for this question and we're going to set them up with a circle here so they don't have to draw that. We're going to give them a big circle there. Click on check. And now when they go to answer this question, they'll have a circle to work with and they can then edit that circle to draw, to split it in half and to shade it in as is requested here, which will be our next questions. So number 5 will be divide the cake, and number 2 will be to shade shade the part that Peter will eat. Okay, you can split this into portions when you grade it. That's up to you. If you want to use this fill in the blank question, then we can do this here. Okay, and we're going to add another response. So this will be a 2-part question, right? They're going to draw the line and then shade the part Peter will eat, kind of a 2-part question. So we can leave that as one question so we don't have to do 2 circles and 2 pies or 2 cakes and confuse the student. We'll make this a second question, and this is going to be a fill in the blank. So we'll click in fill in the blank. It's easiest just to go ahead for number 6 and just type in how much of the cake is shaded and then add a text blank, and they can then add their answer in that blank there. Okay, we can do the same for these next questions as well. Then we go down to our last portion of the test. Now for this one, we want them to circle each sandwich that is equally partitioned into fourths. One of the simplest ways to do this would be to take a screenshot, a screen grab of this part of the image, which I just did that by taking a simple screenshot of it. I opened it up in a picture previewing file, however you want to open it up. You can open it up in your Adobe Reader and just take a drag and drop photo of it, clip it, and I saved it as an image. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make our next question here. Okay, and this is going to also be a show your work. Okay, but this time when I edit the background, let's go ahead and type this in there. Okay, circle each sandwich. Let's see here, sandwich that is equally partitioned into fourths. Okay, now what we'll do here is going to edit background, and what I'm going to do now is I am going to add an image, right? So to add an image, we're going to go over to the side. We have our add an image, and I am going to, you can drag and drop a file. I'm just going to upload it since it's simpler. We've got a lot going on here. I'm just going to go to where I knew that I have it saved. I'm going to open that. and there it is. We're going to add the image. And now when the student goes to answer this question, let's look in the preview. Okay. We go down to the bottom. It's going to, let's see here, I'm going to show them my work. It's going to open it here. We can draw or add images. So all I have to do as a student is go and circle each of the images that are equally divided. All right, and then we can check this off, and now my question's answered. Now we've got, of course, one more question to answer here. Let's close our preview. All right, and that is going to be to explain how you know the sandwiches are partitioned into fourths. So we'll click beside this, and we're going to make this question 8, and this is actually going to be, just how long you want to make it. If it's going to be a short answer, you can make it a short answer. We can also do free response here. I'm just going to do free response to give them plenty of space to answer it. And then we can then type our question in. You can also open this PDF file in another window and then copy and paste this text to make it extra quick for you. I didn't want to have a bunch of windows going back and forth on the screen and make us kind of dizzy with the back and forth. So I'm just choosing, and this is often how when I'm converting PDFs and making my own assessments, I just go ahead and type things longhand, as we would say, because it's easiest for me. There comes to be a point where you're working really hard to save yourself from doing work, and you're doing more work than you would have been to begin with, right? So have to be conscious of that when we find ourselves making things way too hard, right? All right, and there you go. And then the students can then add their answer in like this. So I can show you quickly let's see. I'm going to go into my, I actually spelled that wrong, didn't I? I'm going to have to correct that. Unit test. All right. Now I'm going to go into, this is the one that I made as an exemplar to kind of get my chops down before I did this video. And as you can see, it looks like this here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here for all of my fill in the blanks. Okay, and my drawings. Go down here. We've got our 2-part question. Okay, I didn't finish this one yet because it's basically the same thing as that before. But we've got each of our questions here. We've got 10 there. We can add into that how much the cake is shaded. Okay, and we get to the bottom and we have our images. I'm going to preview that, show you what that's going to look like for the student. We'll pop this out into its own window so you can get a nice, good view. If the student needs to zoom in, all they have to do is click zoom in. When they're ready to answer a question, they click on that question. It takes them back to their answer sheet, and they can then answer their question. Okay? Goes for any of these. I've already answered this one as an answer to this, as an example. I want to click on this to edit it. And now I can go in here, and I can change my answer if I needed to, because as a student, as if I'm a student, I can change these things if I need to, right? Click that. There we go. And so that's really the long and short of how to enhance PDFs and documents in Formative. I encourage you all to do this. And if you need some help with Formative or any of these tech tools, don't hesitate to contact your EdTech specialist or your ETS. My name is Jimmy Stapp, and thanks so much for hanging out with me today.